This is getting out of hand as everybody is speaking out against this once again and following a brutal Toronto Maple Leafs loss versus the Panthers. Leafs fans are outraged following what was a couple of absolutely dirty hits, including one in particular that not only has the fans of the Toronto Maple Leafs fired up, but fans around the league as this continues to happen and is starting to get out of hand. We'll break down exactly what that is, but also discuss some hits on the Leafs side that have Panthers fans livid, including one in particular from one interesting player. But before we get into it, folks, if you're part of the percentage who aren't subscribed to the channel, you guys have been beasts. Thank you guys very much for your support. 71% of you who are watching right now aren't subscribed, so make sure to hit that subscribe button. Obviously, the Leafs are coming off of a brutal loss, but we have a chance to even it up on home ice on Wednesday. But in the meantime, Darius, there's going to be a lot of updates. Moves are, possibly and probably going to be made for Craig Berube and his staff here ahead of game, 5. But man, oh man, there is some more hits. It's gotten a little bit worse. And obviously, we talk about the hit on Anthony Solars that completely altered the series. The Florida Panthers are a horribly dirty team. It's the way they play hockey, and usually they teeter the line pretty well. But Darius, as you saw there in the the intro video a little bit, they've been doing maybe a worse job than usual, I guess, at teetering the line. The refs obviously aren't gonna, and this all stems back to the Department of Player Safety not suspending Sam Bennett in the first game, but it has led to a debacle, I should say. You can see this here. I mean, there's a lot of different things we're going to dive into, but we think back to way back. Now, this is, of course, in one of the first games. You think about the Matthew Tkachuk hit to the head, all these different things, or the Matthew Tkachuk attempt to injure Mitch Marner, not the hit to the head. There's too many hits to the head these days. And again, the Leafs played a horrible game. But these are the kind of plays that are getting missed a lot in these playoffs. And it's not just this series. This was the hit to the head from Kulikov that was in yesterday's game that was terrible. You have Matthew Tkachuk after one of the first games of the series trying to injure him. You have one on John Tavares just a couple games ago. It's at the point now where it keeps getting worse, and this one in particular was really, really bad, especially given all the past.
Yeah, and I have to say, James got it wrong here. This wasn't missed. They're just not calling this. I mean, the Florida Panthers play by a different rule book. We know that. That is established at this point. And as Leaf fans, coming into the series, you must have known that that was going to happen. Look at the way that the Florida Panthers made it to the finals the last couple of years. They just beat everyone up. They injure everybody, very much like the Boston Bruins, 10 years ago at this point, or 15 years ago at this point. So very similar to that. And not even these hits that we've shown already throughout the video. Marchand last night, it wasn't called, but a lot of people were talking about it in real time too. He jumped into a cross check into the back of Chris Tanev as well. And Marchand, especially in this series, I mean, I appreciate him as a player and obviously playing for Team Canada and all of that and everything that he's accomplished in his career. But, I hate it that, the Leafs have to play against him so often, but he's been jumping into a lot of hits in this series. And again, the refs can't, they're not going to call everything. And Florida knows that. And that's exactly what they do. That's their game plan. So that's the type of team they are. That has been established. We know that. As you can see here, he jumped into this hit. It's a cross check. Nowhere near the puck as well. It's a cross check into the numbers. So although I do think he let the puck go, there. So maybe, because it's the playoffs, it's not a late hit or anything like that. But it's a cross check and it's in the air. So that should have been called as well. So there is just a lot going on in this series. Now, I do truly believe that the Leafs did not lose that game or the last two games because of the officiating. I do truly believe that no matter what, you have to rise above all that stuff. And I thought they did a good job in the first two games of doing exactly that. So they have to get back to doing that in game 5. The Panthers play by a different rule book. We know that. The refs know that they can't call everything. So Florida's going to continue to do that stuff. And if the Leafs retaliate in any way, we've seen this across the league, the team that retaliates, you get the penalty, right? And even if the Leafs, are the ones to initiate, I still think that they're probably going to get the worst end of the stick here. So they're in a tough spot, but they have to rise above it and continue to play their game, which they haven't the last two games. So hoping that they can kind of, get away from everything, back to Toronto. They have the matchup game in their favor. This is why you won the Atlantic Division, and we'll see what happens in game 5.
Yeah, they didn't lose because of the refs. However, it gets to the point, it says here, NHL officiating is so funny. Hooks and interference, absolutely kind of that flying elbow to a star's head play on. I mean, it's bad. It is pretty bad. This one was by far, you could argue this is the worst one of the series. And it's funny because we've said that like 4 times because there's been that many bad hits. Also, something that went kind of unnoticed here is taking out Toronto starting goalie was enough. Mikkola intentionally opens the doors. Nylander was coming towards the Panthers bench. Dangerous play. Nylander was very mad about this. And, is it surprising? Absolutely not. The Panthers, the only way they can, feel good about themselves is winning games in the dirty way. Now, at the same time, they are a decent hockey team. It's just very frustrating when it's consistently attempts to injure. At least, now we'll dive into some of the Leafs hits that, were, some would argue, intents to injure. I don't think, nowhere near, in my opinion, at least anything remotely close to this, whether that's the OEL hit to the chest of Rodriguez, not the head, the chest. And then, the Bobby McMahon one at the end was pretty bad. And we'll dive into that in a minute. And you can see here, it appears that OEL saw a chin in the wind and said, "Ev it, I'm going to hammer it." Keep in mind that Rob quote tweeted this and said, on second thought, it wasn't to the chin, it was to his chest. And it was to his chest. So, a lot of Panthers fans, I'm curious if you guys think about it, were clamoring for Max Domi to get suspended following his hit, the boarding call. It was absolutely a penalty. Will he get suspended? I highly doubt it. Pretty dirty hit, sure. But, we can't be talking about, dirty hits necessarily to that degree when you have hits like, that was, not a great hit from Bobby McMahon. So I don't even know if that was boarding. This, by far, the worst one. And then, of course, you have the door conveniently open. You can see his arm, absolutely terrible. And I don't know, it gets to the point now where it's frustrating for everybody involved. And at the end of the game, you see Matthew Tkachuk. I don't know what he's saying. Is he saying he's going to elbow William Nylander? He's going to give William Nylander a concussion? Would not put it past either of the Tkachuk brothers for that. A lot of crazy things going on.
Yeah, at the end of the game there, Matthew Tkachuk, again, I'm not like a lip reading expert or anything like that. He's telling Nylander, "You're going to get it next game." Then he winks at him, and then he's showing him a little bit of the elbow. So obviously mocking the officials, mocking the Leafs in this way. And Matthew Tkachuk, he can go after Nylander, but Matthew Tkachuk, doing what he does best, talking, right? He's a much better talker than he is a hockey player. I don't even think he could catch Alex Nylander, so I don't know how he's going to catch William Nylander to give him an elbow either. But it's going to be an interesting game 5, that's for sure. But I think that he's hurt. He's continuing to do his thing, beaking from the bench. So, it's going to be interesting to see what happens in the next game, because all of that was started by Domi. But it's really funny how the Panthers do this the whole game, and the Leafs know they can't retaliate because, they're going to pay for it in terms of penalties, maybe a major penalty, all of that. Then Domi does that at the end of the game, and then it's a whole thing, right? Oh, it becomes that the Leafs are the bad guy all of a sudden, right? Like it's very funny to me. And will Max Domi be suspended for that hit? If he does, what are we doing here? Mason Marchment literally hit an official yesterday and is not going to be suspended for it. So, if Max Domi gets suspended for that, that's crazy. So all's fair in love and war at this point. I think the Leafs need to, rise above all that stuff, continue to play the way that they were playing in the first 2 games, and they're back on home ice. So it's going to favor them in a bit, at least.
Word is Marchment's not going to get suspended. We'll see. And regarding the Max Domi, things like that, from a Leafs side, hopefully he doesn't get suspended. He hasn't been great this series, but he's been good at times. At the end of the day, he was better in the Senators series, like most Leafs, were following these past couple games. But regardless of that, it's there's going to be some updates later today. Moves are probably going to be coming, whether that you look at the impact score chart from yesterday's game. It was really bad. You have Benoit at the top. Hopefully things are figured out. Berube hinted after the game, in the press conference, that moves could be on the horizon here. We'll have another video for you later, but the Leafs aren't losing games because of the refereeing, but at the same time, the physicality seems to have taken a bit of a toll on them, but now they have a chance at home ice. They get the last shift change. They get to actually match up better and get out of the nightmare matchups that Alexander Barkov and Connor Rahegi in the second line, all these different things. And hopefully the Leafs can take care of business. Let us know down below how dirty you think these hits are. Do you think it's even? Do you think it's fair? And if you think Max Domi is going to get suspended, because that would cause an outroar. Thank you guys for watching. See you later.